Hi, my name is Van, and you're listening to my daddy's podcast, The Morgan You Know.
Love the show, and you should check out my buddy Rod Morgan's pod, The Morgan You Know, as I'm confident he's primed to make some waves on the scene.
Hello again, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Morgan You Know podcast. My name is Rod Morgan. Thank you so much if you are joining us live right now on Facebook, Twitch, Twitter, YouTube. We appreciate you. Maybe you're checking in later on your podcast platform of choice. Just make sure that you like or subscribe. Even better if you comment and tell a friend. It's all appreciated here. We like what we do. We're a sports conversation show, and sometimes we even dabble in sports entertainment. That'll be up in the second half of the podcast. We're going to continue our journey at sea, previewing NFL teams. This week, we're going to be on the poop deck. Exciting, isn't it? We're going to bring it all together soon, but we're going to start with the cold open question of the week soon after we introduce everyone. The man who puts this all together, the executive producer of this podcast, the co-host of this podcast, Jimmy Jamariska. Jimmy, hello.
Rod, it is a good day to be on the Morgan You Know podcast. That's all I have to say right now.
Oh, that's right. You know what? I didn't even tease at the beginning. We're going to get into a little baseball at some point here. I think we're going to do it after Williams talks football and on his way out. Before we talk wrestling, we're going to get to a little baseball. Somebody who wasn't around for the absolute birth of baseball, but I'll be damned if he wasn't there a few years later. He's our good friend, the old man, Chris King. Chris, hello.
What is up, fellas? Listen, if there are college football fans listening to us right now, and you think you can coach better than most other coaches, you need to go ahead and buy yourself some season tickets to the Akron University football team. They are giving away the opportunity to script the opening drive of their home opener this year to a season ticket holder. So this is your chance, people. If you think you can coach better than what they can in college, go get you some season tickets to Akron.
A man who is booking a U-Haul as we speak after hearing that noise is our that news is our football handicapper, Josh Williams. Josh, hello.
What's up, boys? Let's go. It's football season right around the corner. Hall of Fame game tomorrow night.
Oh, my goodness. The Hall of Fame game's tomorrow night. One of the worst played football games of all year, but we're all going to be excited as heck to watch it. That is great. You know what else we're excited for around here, Jimmy? The cold open question of the week. And as I take a sip from my Minute Maid, bring the juice, it thinks me, what should I ask you guys? I know. When was the last time television advertising worked on you? Because I'll be damned if earlier this week I'm at the gas station and I'm looking around for a cold beverage, and all I can think to myself is Cody Rhodes, Rhea Ripley, and Jey Uso selling me Minute Maid. Commercial break after commercial break after commercial break on the WWE. And I was like, you know what? That blue raspberry that Jey Uso tells that girl to kick on the coffee table and comes over and lands in her hand does look pretty good. Let me try that. So, Jimmy, I ask you, when was the last time advertising got you and you bought it?
It also was WWE. There was an energy drink. It wasn't the Rock's one. It was a different one that they had a big sponsorship for WrestleMania, and I definitely went out and bought that just because it had the WWE logo on the can, and it was really bad. I think it was C4 at the time, and I'm not sure what flavor it was, but it was C4, and I went right out and bought it, and because I'm an idiot.
All right, listen, there was 2 for $3. Not only did I have the one berry blast here, I also got the kiwi strawberry. Again, bring the juice, Minute Maid, get after me. I would love to be in a commercial with Jey Uso, Cody Rhodes, and Rhea Ripley. Williams, advertising. When was the last time it worked on you?
Man, all the pizzas. All the pizza commercials just get me. It doesn't matter. Papati, Pizza Hut, stuffed crust. I'm in. Let's go.
Hey, Rod.
Limit the pizza.
Oh, sorry, Williams. Hey, Rod, we forgot to mention the Anonymous Gambler is back. It's not Williams. It's the Anonymous Gambler now with the microphone issue. We forgot to mention that. I'm sorry, Williams. So pizza. You'll even eat Pizza Hut pizza because of a commercial? Pizza Hut.
They got the throwback like 90s deal now. They got like personal pan. They got some cheese sticks. They got the meatloaf. Let's go.
Listen, I'm a Pizza Hut guy, Williams. I'm not going to give you any guff over Pizza Hut. A man who was around when they first introduced commercials into newspapers, a man who was around when they first played commercials on the radio, a man who went to see the talkies when they premiered. He's been seeing advertising for a lot longer than all of us. I wonder what his answer is here. Chris King, what do you got?
You know what still works on me, Rod? Billboards. And it was a few months ago. It may have been longer than that, but it was Arby's. Got me with a billboard with their Italian sub. Went straight there the next day for lunch. Delicious.
You are so not wrong about the Italian sub at Arby's. I'm excited every time I see that they're bringing back the Italian sub. I get that Arby's is not necessarily the first place you think to yourself about Italian sub, but Arby's do have the meats. So let's go. I think the Italian sub at Arby's is way underrated. That's a great call by you, Chris. I thought you might go as far back as like telling me about when they first brought around popcorn or something even crazier than that, right? The first time that there was an electric vacuum you could use at the house. But no, you gave me.
No, I had a falling out with Oracle way back in the day. Their family doesn't like me very much. I can't go there.
Nice. That is wonderful. All right, that's the cold open question of the week. As I said, we're going to touch on baseball a little bit, but let's continue our journey at sea to preview the NFL. Does that make any sense? Absolutely not, but that's what we do here at the Morgan You Know, all right? My weird brain comes up with these fun ideas. There's lots of NFL podcasts out there talking at you all the time, right? But this is our guy, Josh Williams, doing the work at home, grinding it out, telling you what you need to know coming up into the season. And this year, we're starting with the teams that maybe don't have to worry too much about the playoffs. Last week, we talked to you about some teams that sent out an SOS. They're going to be looking for a quarterback next week. This week, we're on the poop deck. All right. You don't necessarily want to be on the poop deck. Things aren't going good on the poop deck, but you're not necessarily lost at sea. You're not adrift looking for a quarterback. Maybe there's a couple of things in place. You're going to be riding on the poop deck. You're going to be drafting still high in the draft next year. You're going to plug whatever holes you have, and you might be looking at brighter days at sea the following year. So this week, we got the poop deck. Last week, we had 4 AFC teams. This week, we only got 1 AFC team. Kind of interesting how that's worked out. We got 4 NFC teams to get to here in just a minute, but we're going to start with a team that's sort of near and dear to my heart, I guess you could say, and that's how we do things here at the Morgan You Know. If it's near and dear to my heart, we're going to talk about it. And the Tennessee Titans are one of the hated rivals to my Indianapolis Colts. And Williams, you got them on the poop deck, and I can't say that I'm sad about it.
This is a very heavy South preview here. 4 teams total from the NFC South and AFC South. So we'll start with Tennessee here. Over 6.5 plus 105 is their over-under. 3 veteran coaches getting another chance here. Robert Saleh is the new coach coming over from his second stint as DC in San Francisco. Brian Daboll is the new OC, and Gus Bradley is the new DC. Their 2025 sack margin minus 14, penalty margin minus 24. That's pretty terrible. Last year, the Titans played the toughest schedule in football. They played 10 games against teams that reached the playoffs. That was the most in the NFL. So that was a pretty tough rookie season for Cam Ward. They started out in elevation in week 1 at Denver. Danny Dimes only played 10 games, but he was healthy for both Titans games. So that was a little bit unlucky for them to go up against a pretty potent Colts offense last year. They missed 2 times. They missed the Spencer Rattler-led Saints games. They started a rookie quarterback with the worst wide receivers in the league, with the 6th worst schedule of rest, playing the most difficult schedule in the league. It's no wonder the Titans were pretty pathetic in 2025. And Cam Ward played 8 games versus top 10 pass defenses. He did not perform well. Under pressure, he was 40th in EPA per attempt, number 38 in success rate, number 37th in completion rate. The running game wasn't much better, 28th in success rate, 26th in EPA per rush, 28th in explosive rush rate. And all that was with the Titans facing the 4th highest rate of light boxes. They were next to last in third down conversion rate, dead last in rates of drives to reach the end zone. This year, O-line expert Brandon Thorne ranks Tennessee as the worst O-line in the league. So Titans fans, you could have another rough season ahead of you. As for the offense as a whole, they're spending the exact same amount as last year, 18th overall, which is actually more than I would have guessed. Defensive spending, they move up 8 spots from 20th to 12th, spending more on the D-line, but less on the cornerback room. Some good news to end on. This season, they get the 13th easiest schedule. They did bring in a couple pass catchers, Wandale Robinson, who is familiar with Dayball with his time in New York, and then they took wide receiver Cornell Tate with a top 5 pick in the draft from Ohio State. So that's your Tennessee Titans preview. Not much optimism for the Titans in 2026.
Well, as we did say, we're riding on the poop deck. You know what I mean? I think kind of when you walk onto the poop deck, you kind of understand where you're at there. You kind of know that you're working from the bottom up. You know, you're not riding high with Rose, right? You're not up there at the top of the Titanic. You know what I mean? Eating first class. You're down on the poop deck. So things aren't going great. Jimmy, I had a question in there. Did I hear the name Gus Bradley? Did I hear Williams say Gus Bradley was hired as the defensive coordinator of the Tennessee Titans? Did I hear that?
Well, you did, and I understand that you and Gus have not had the best relationship ever. The good news is it's kind of like when Declan Doyle was the offensive coordinator for the Bears last year. He was the offensive coordinator because that's what it said on his business card. Ben Johnson was the offensive coordinator. Robert Saleh is the defensive coordinator. So that is the only thing that Titans fans, I think, can hang their hat on, is he's not totally going to be in charge there.
Chris, do you think Tennessee has a quarterback? Because ultimately with the team down on the poop deck, right, if you're not throwing an SOS out there trying to be in the quarterback draft class, and Williams at this point thinks that they're not going to be maybe the dregs of the league like the 5 teams we talked about last week, is Cam Ward really the guy? I mean, he's in our division. We've seen him a little bit. What do you think?
I don't know if Cam Ward is the guy. I think he is a guy, all right? I don't think he is necessarily bottom of the barrel of what we see, especially what we saw last week, right? I gotta say though, I get nervous about with what Tennessee's building, all right? And listen, this is all due to genetics for me, okay? And let me explain why, all right? Because Tennessee has done something I've never seen an NFL team do, and they go out and they hire no one but the follically challenged to be on their coaching staff, all right? And as a person who's also follically challenged, like, that endears me, and I think I have to be a fan. And so I have always said that God gave some men hair, and then he gave the rest of us brains. And so I think if I'm a Tennessee fan, I got to be excited for the brain trust they got down there.
Ouch. I felt personally assaulted there with the hair shot there. But shout out to our follically challenged fans out there. Chris is here to support you and love you all year long. Williams, actually, I love that Chris did bring up the coaching staff because I wanted to go to you on this. I think it's kind of interesting that we have Brian Daboll, who's now in Tennessee, right? And he couldn't get it done with Danny Dimes, who had to leave New York where Daboll stayed behind, right? And then Danny Dimes found success at Indianapolis, and then now Daboll is here, and they're expecting him to turn around things. And then Jackson Dart in New York gets Brian Callahan, who was in Tennessee, and we all blame for the problems with Cam Ward. So, like, it's just funny how the incestuous NFL cycle works.
Yeah, and he's got his work cut out for him this year with the Titans. I don't know if they're going to be any good at all this year. So he's going to have to create more motion. Like I said, he does have a couple few good pass catchers to add, but that running game is kind of lacking, bottom 5. So we'll see with Daboll if he can work any magic here with the Titans this year.
Well, listen, I like the fact that you think the Titans are going to be one of the worst teams in the AFC because it's a couple victories for my team, the Colts. I'm looking ahead here, and I think the Colts may actually come up next week. So we're not necessarily predicting great futures for the Indianapolis Colts, but at least they might have a couple of games versus the Titans that they can handle. You did let everybody know that this would be kind of a South-centric podcast. We got 3 NFC South teams to do. Let's group them all together in the end. Let's go to New York. We talked Jets last week. The Giants don't look to be much better by your assessment. The Giants have a new head coach. The Giants have a running back that people are excited about, I guess. They have a quarterback that gets people excited, sometimes not football reasons, but we won't really discuss that here on this podcast. And we got, I guess, an established head coach, Williams. I'm not entirely sure where you come down on John Harbaugh, but I don't necessarily think you had great things to say about him at the end there in Baltimore. What do you think we are looking for in New York this year?
Yeah, and before we get started, the next 17 teams we talk about have an over-under between 7.5 and 9.5. That starts with the Giants here at 7.5 minus 110. So, I mean, we're going to be talking about pretty even teams here for the next 2 or 3 episodes, even into like the first team on our August 26th episode only has an over-under of 9.5. So, like I said, we're going to talk about 17 teams here between 7.5 and 9.5 wins. So the error margin is pretty slim here. But yeah, the Giants, what could have been for the Giants last year, Neighbors, Dart, and Scadaboo all go down with injuries, and their season predictably goes into the trash after that. Dart himself had 3 separate concussions or concussion checks, so they had to steer him to prevent him from running so crazily as the season went on. New head coach John Harbaugh, new OC Matt Nagy, puke, new DC Leonard Wilson. They were 25th in offensive spending in 2025. They're 25th in offensive spending in 2026, so no change there. O-line spending down 6 spots to 14th. Running back spending down 10 spots to 27th. They were second in defensive spending in 2025, second in defensive spending in 2026, so no change there. They stay at number 3 across the D line from last year's spending, but they move up 7 spots each at corner and safety, both spending at a top 5 rate. So they are spending a ton of money, almost each group here on defense. Sack margin last year was -9, penalty margin +8, and one-score game record they were 1-7. So there's a chance for that to regress positively this year. The Giants were dead last in accepted offensive penalties and bottom 6 in red zone touchdown rate. And now the Ravens last year under Harbaugh were 25th in EPA on 4th down decisions last year. So they kicked field goals at the 9th highest rate. That would concern me if I'm a Giants fan going forward. The Giants play the 21st toughest schedule. They lose defensive tackle Dexter Lawrence on D, but add linebacker Tremont Edmonds and cornerback Greg Newsome to that D that had 2 pretty good edge rushers in Brian Burns and Abdul Carter. But, I mean, the success of the Giants season will depend on the health of Jackson Dart. If Dart can stay healthy, he did have the number 2 total EPA on design runs for quarterbacks, only behind 2024 MVP Josh Allen. And only 2 rookies were better than him in that category since 2000. And that was Cam Newton in 2011 and RG3 in 2012. And out of 33 qualified rookie quarterbacks since 2020, Dart tied with Justin Herbert for the best rookie quarterback on 3rd down. So he does kind of have some magic to him on third long distance plays. So he's just got to stay healthy for the Giants to have any success this year.
That's all well and good, right? But the problem that I have with those wonderful stats that you just gave here, Williams, and anybody who's joining us for the first time, this is what you can expect all year long. Williams comes with this kind of stuff. This is the research that he does. But the rest of the team has to be good. You've got to be ready to capitalize on a QB that runs and does things like that because he's not going to be around very long. You started your breakdown by saying that he had 3 concussions. You know what I mean? And unfortunately, I don't think this Giants team is good enough around him to support that kind of play. Chris, I wanted to come to you on this because you get excited for defense. And I think that's basically what the Giants are going to have to hold their hats on, right? Williams mentioned it there at the end when he said the 2 great edge rushers. But I think New York could look at a possible scenario where they're a bitch to play against. And if they can get any kind of offense, maybe they'll be in a few more games this year, right?
If they have their running game on and they can control the ball a little bit that way and have their defense rested, yeah, they're going to be a tough out, right? But that's about it, I think. Otherwise, they don't scare me that much, that's for sure. But they do have a solid defense. If they can create turnovers, they're even more dangerous. So, yeah, that's about it, though. I mean, and the Harbaugh is known to have tough-nosed defenses, so you expect that from his team.
Jim, we hate to just break it down to fantasy level here, but, like, honestly, Williams said that the Giants go up and down with Dart. Like, he doesn't have a whole lot of weapons around him. Is there anybody on the Giants team that you'd like to have fantasy-wise for any reason?
Well, I think Scadaboo's got to be someone that you bring in just because he's going to be a starter or get a lot of reps in there, especially goal line. So he's someone you bring in. As far as the receivers goes, I was actually going. I don't know. There's a lot of injuries on that receiver unit. I don't trust neighbors at all. I think that is something that I just don't want to touch. So it might just be Scatterboo for me because I wouldn't touch Dart either. Even as a backup, I wouldn't touch him.
Yeah, I think all those things speak to that it's going to be difficult for the Giants to score. But Williams, I also love that you said that all of these projections for like this next, like basically half of the league are really, really close to one another, because that's what we try to have in the NFL. And they've been able to pull it off over the years. So, I mean, a couple of things break right for the Giants. Maybe they're threatening for the back end of the NFC playoffs, but probably not. We got 3 teams coming up here, though. There's only 3 teams in a division. So one of these 3 things might break right for, and they could be a contender here, Williams. Where do you want to start in the NFC South?
Yeah, let's go with the Atlanta Falcons over 7.5. Also, that's plus 125. You're paying the juice on that. So seems like sports books are leaning towards the under there. But 2-time Coach of the Year Kevin Stefanski takes over in Atlanta. So there's optimism there. And then if you're a Notre Dame fan, you're familiar with Tommy Rees. He is the new OC in Atlanta. Jeff Ulbrich, they keep him on his DC. This will be his second year in Atlanta. Fun fact about Ulbrich, only Brian Flores blitzed at a higher rate than Jeff Ulbrich did as defensive coordinator for the Falcons. So that's something to go on here. Brandon Thorne ranks the Falcons O-line 21st in the league. That's a little bit dip from what we're used to the last 3 to 5 years with the Falcons. They usually have a pretty solid offensive line. So there could be some wear and tear on the offensive line this year. With the scouting report being that this is a better run blocking unit than pass blocking unit, which I'm not sure if that's great news for either quarterback, Michael Penix or Tua. So, but check these stats out. We're talking about Ulbrich blitzing second most last year. Sack margin plus 31 for a losing team last year. You hardly ever see that. Penalty margin minus 13 for a losing team. That makes more sense. Strength of schedule 19th this year. Rest edge plus 7. Last year, Bijan averaged over 5 yards a carry. Almost 1,100 of his yards were gained after contact. That was the most in the league. As if that was enough, he added 79 catches to those rushing stats. No player had more first half rushing yards than Bijan, but in second halves of games, he was only 35th in explosive rate percentage, and Atlanta as a whole was bottom 5 in points scored and point margin in second halves. They just could not get anything going in second halves of games. The Falcons ranked 15th in offensive spending, about middle of the pack. They're down 11 spots, though, from last year. They're spending the second most money at the tight end position, Kyle Pitts. On the defensive spending, they slide back 7 spots to 25th overall, including back 8 spots on the defensive line. They're now spending next to last in the league on that D-line. Top 3 spending on the safety position, though. Penix finished last year ranked 43rd in accuracy, but 17th in success rate. Drake London was a top 5 wide receiver according to PFF, and his 30% target share was also top 5 in the league. He only averaged 5 targets per game with Cousins. Cousins targeted Pitts more, but that doubled when Penix was under center. So they had a connection there. And even though their D had a ton of sacks in 2025, this did not produce a great defense overall. All the blitzing created explosive plays on the ground, ending with the Falcons ranking 27th in EPA allowed per rush. And from the D-line last year, they lost Leonard Floyd, Arnold Ibikete, David Onyemata, easy for you to say, and James Pierce, who is in all kinds of off-the-field domestic disputes, including being charged with 3 felonies this offseason. So his availability for the 2026 season is very murky for the Atlanta Falcons.
Chris, think with me for a second. Your buddy Matt Jackson lives down there in Georgia. Let's just say for whatever reason you make your way back down to Georgia. And we all know that there's many reasons why you'd never make your way back down to Georgia, but let's just leave that aside for the fantasy of the whole thing right now and for the podcast audience out there, all right? And you're getting there, you're talking to your neighbor. You're out mowing the lawn and you're talking to your neighbor. Who do you want to be the quarterback, right? Who's your neighbor want to be the quarterback of the Atlanta Falcons? Do they want Michael Penix Jr. or do they want Tua Tagovailoa? What do you think's happening with Falcons fans down there in the quarterback battle that might be brewing in the dirty South?
I don't think they want either. If they have to pick, I think they would probably pick Michael Penix over Tua. At least I would hope so. I don't know. Unfortunately, we've seen Tua and what's happened with him over the last few years, right? I don't know if I would trust him being able to make it through the season at all, right? And I know that's also true with Michael, but Michael has a good head on his shoulders still.
Of course, you're going to support the IU guy. I should have figured that much. Jimmy, it's round 8 in your fantasy draft. You need a tight end. Top 3 to 4 tight ends are already off the board. Are you going to do it to yourself again? Are you going to take Kyle Pitts, Mr. Mr. Contract Extension, Mr. Tease, Mr. We all know that Kyle Pitts is supposed to be an athletic specimen who's supposed to light the tight end world on fire, but we've never seen it. Are you going to do it one more year, Jimmy?
You don't know how many years I've done that, Rod, in every league I've ever played in, including the one that we're in. I can't anymore. The Falcons are always that team that are just one decent quarterback away. Not good, decent quarterback away from being a really, really good team. Hey, if they had Kirk Cousins 2 years ago, they would have been great. Last year they had Kirk Cousins. What happened? Okay. So I'm not taking him. I'd take Laporta. I'd take Goddard. I'd take Kraft. I'd take I'd take 3 or 4 people over Pitts before I get that desperate.
All right, Williams, you did a lot of great stats and breakdown for us there, but let's get to the nitty gritty of it. Are the Falcons never going to fully win because they have wasted real estate at their stadium on Sundays with a Chick-fil-A that cannot operate? These are the hard-hitting questions that we do here on the Morgan podcast.
Hey, but I'll shout out Arthur Blank here, man of the people. Remember, he still has awesome prices for his food. I just went to a baseball game, and you would not believe how much I spent on 2 beers plus tip. I think you were talking about it in one of the pods earlier this week. It's absolutely ridiculous. So shout out Arthur Blank, man of the people, still throwing out some food at reasonable prices.
Yeah, but I still think, just what kind of flex is it to be like, hey, I'm going to put a Chick-fil-A in my stadium that I'm going to look to be open on a bunch of Sundays, knowing explicitly that a Chick-fil-A does not open? I mean, Jimmy, come on, what are we doing?
That is a big flex. Chick-fil-A is, I believe, an Atlanta company, which is why they had it in there. But also, like William said, I'm not going to lie. I'm giving them complete. And I was at a baseball card show, and they were charging $7 for a hot dog, okay? So $11 if you wanted to Chicago style it. Can you imagine that? So you know what? I'm going to give them a pass.
Listen, if you want to see angry people, have a Thursday night or Monday night game without Chick-fil-A in that stadium.
See, that's true, but they won't because the Chick-fil-A is available for purchase on both of those nights. All right, William, so we got 2 other NFC South teams left. We got the New Orleans Saints and the Carolina Panthers. I personally would like to hear a little bit more about the Saints, but that's just me, so you pick.
Yeah, let's dive into the Saints here. A very intriguing team. Kellen Moore's second season as head coach. New offensive coordinator Doug Nussmeier, he's father of Garrett Nussmeier, former quarterback at LSU, and who was drafted by the Chiefs last year. Doug himself was drafted by the Saints at quarterback back in 1994. So fun fact there. Brandon Staley in his second year as defensive coordinator. Sack margin last year -4, penalty margin -2, 1-score game record 3-5. They move up to 7 spots in total offensive spending, 8 spots on the offensive line up to 18th, up 7 spots at running back to number 1. That might surprise some people. That could be an overreaction with the Saints losing the 4th most games due to injury at the running back position in 2025, and up 11 spots at wide receiver to number 20 in spending. Total defensive spending, they're still bottom 4 in the league, bottom 6 on the D-line and cornerback, so that defense still has a ways to go. Brandon Thorne ranks the Saints offensive line top 7 in the league with an exceptional left side of the line, in particular with left tackle Kelvin Banks, a newly signed left guard David Andrews from Buffalo, and center Eric McCoy. They play the 3rd easiest schedule in the league, and a super weird quirk in their schedule. Check this out. From September 21st to November 21st, they played one true road game. They finished the season with 2 out of 3 at home versus Zona, at Atlanta, and versus Tampa Bay. That 2-month stretch, they do have an international game against the Steelers, but I mean, come on. I mean, I don't ever remember 2 months of a team's season, and they only play one true road game. They were dead last in red zone touchdown rate last year, 44.4%. So you hope there's positive regression there. The NFL average was 57.3. They were also dead last in field goal percentage. So, I mean, you would think that should go up this year. They went 6-5 against non-playoff teams last season. I mean, that's pretty good for a team that was, had like 2 or 3 wins going into the last 5 or 6 weeks of the season. So they got off to terrible starts last year, dead last in scoring margin in first quarters on the year. So a lot of this stuff you would think is going to positively regress. There's signs of this. There's been 28 rookie quarterbacks who were drafted in the last 5 years and threw at least 100 attempts. Of the 28, Tyler Shuck surprisingly ranked number 2 in completion rate, number 4 in passing yards per game, number 6 in yards per attempt, number 7 in rate of 15-plus yard gains per attempt, number 7 in EPA per attempt, and number 8 in success rate. I don't think many people would have guessed he's top 10. And Tyler Shuck, his 26-year-old quarterback from Louisville playing for the Saints. I don't think many people would have guessed that those stats for the Saints quarterback.
I'm a mother shucker. You're a mother shucker. He's definitely out there. The Saints got some offensive weapons, right? Olave, when he is not hurt, is one of the more dangerous receivers in the league. And we got Travis Achan. Jimmy, can you say Travis Achan? Are you ready to pronounce his name that way all year long and not ATN the way that we did when he was a Jacksonville Jaguar?
So names are really, really important. As someone who's literally managed thousands of students over my day, names are extremely important to people. I can't for the life of me understand why he just didn't say anything ever. It's so interesting how, you think of, outward, the football player, alpha male, but just kind of kept to himself. No, Etienne is fine. No problem. It's actually Achan. I am flabbergasted and always will be, but I will always call him Achan from now on, though.
Chris, are you ready? Are you going to bring out your best Cajun accent and give us an Achan? Are you ready for this?
No, because much like wrestling, I treat some NFL fandom, right, as a fan, right? And when a team has a player that I have loved and watched in that franchise for so long and be such a symbol for that team, even in these dire years that they've had, and they just let him go. And I'm talking about Hill. I have loved that dude for so long. He's no longer a Saint, so New Orleans, I don't root for you anymore.
There you have it, folks. We are a Taysom Hill forward podcast here. If you show disrespect to the third string tight end, fourth string quarterback, fantasy weird darling, you will not be loved here. You know who's not going to love us here at the Morgan? It's going to be Carolina Panther fans, because I'm sorry, there is zero interesting about your team. Zero. I don't think you like your quarterback. I don't think that any of us really know your wide receiver. We know we're supposed to know him. He's a former volleyball player from Arizona. McMillan, I think his name is. Great, grand, wonderful. Good for you in Carolina. Maybe you guys will be good and make me eat my words. But Jimmy's wearing a Cubs hat. Williams is wearing a Cubs hat. Chris is a huge Cub fan. Let's take advantage of that instead of talking about the Carolina Panthers before we get to some wrestling. All right, Jimmy, you said that I would have loved last week. So in Journey to Rodtober, tell me why, my friend.
Rod, there were almost 40 trades on trade deadline day. The week before and trade deadline, 50 trades over a 7-day period. And this is what every NBA fan wanted to happen. It happened. We had huge names traded. We had a lot of people getting those pieces they think they need to move on in the postseason. And our Cubbies really did a pretty good job getting 3 pitchers, and another outfielder as well. They're ready to go, and they didn't give up too much. They gave up a couple decent players, but really, Rod, this was you would have loved it. That notifications on ESPN were all over the place. It was great.
Jeff Passan was breaking a sweat, you're telling me, is what was happening there for my guy. Buster Olney, Tim Kirkchin, we're maybe even working the phones. We had so many trades going down. John
that was
Heyman,
great.
right? Listen, is that another MLB insider? Listen to me. I still got my finger on the pulse. I know what's happening. Chris, how excited were you? Because Jimmy, you're right. And I'm happy that baseball took advantage of this, because the way baseball trades go down is one guy you've heard of, then the other guys you've never heard of. So I'm, you know what I mean? Like, I get that, like, later, if you're a Met fan right now, you're mad that you traded Pete Crow Armstrong for Javi Baez, but you didn't know who Pete Crow Armstrong was when you traded him for Javi Baez. So that's how these baseball trades tend to work out. Chris, your thoughts?
Yeah, you're not wrong, but also you have situations where the rich get richer, like the Dodgers, who can just go out and get the two-time reigning AL Cy Young Award winner to come pitch for the second half and solidify their stranglehold in the National League.
Okay, but here's the thing. You know what? They did that, and all I heard yesterday, was, wow, Skubal pitched great for the Dodgers. He had 6 strikeouts. Hey, Williams, who won the game? Yeah, the Cubs won the game.
Yeah, it was the
Williams
Cubs.
isn't even on the mic
Sweeping
anymore. But yeah, there you go. Yeah, he swept him, didn't they, Williams?
We've been successful
They swept them,
against
yeah.
the
The Cubs
Dodgers
were more
this
active
year.
with the-
Go ahead, Williams. I think you're good. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, the Cubs were more active at the deadline than I thought they were going to be, picking up Gosman and Zephyr Jan and a few others. So they could have go with a 6-man rotation here down the stretch.
Did you say Zevrajan? Is that what you said his name is?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, he's throwing some nasty, nasty sweepers. Out of the pen.
Zevrajan throwing the sweeper. I love it. All right, let's go. Go Cubbies. Jimmy, any other things we need to know about in baseball? I heard that it's like there's no clarity. We still really have no idea other than the Dodgers who's going to make the playoffs, right? It's still pretty wide open. Is that the case?
Oh, it's definitely wide open, and everyone went for it this year, honestly, because there is clarity that there's probably not going to be a next year. So that's why there so many trades were made, just because they wanted to go for it this year. It is really open. I mean, the White Sox right now are favored in the AL, or have good money in the AL. They're not favored. They have good money in the AL to make it to the World Series, and really, it's all over the place. But I will tell you, Ohtani, who has kind of been, is he hurt? Is he not? He did fine today. He had another 2 home runs and a single. So I think he's okay. Rod, it's exciting.
It's been crazy, Rod. You had somebody like the Red Sox, who were the worst team in the American League on June 24th, and then won 21 out of 25 games and are back right in the playoffs.
Listen, you know me. I'm a Bill Simmons disciple. So the fact that the Red Sox won that many games in a row finally got Bill Simmons' dad to appear on the podcast and comment on the Jaylen Brown trade. So I definitely had heard that the Red Sox had made a charge back up near contention in the AL. Listen, maybe I'll come around for baseball at the end here. I've enjoyed listening from the peripheries and keeping up with baseball. In years past, I didn't even do that. So as far as the journey to Rodtober goes, we are inching a little bit closer to perhaps recapturing baseball fandom I once had. Mr. Williams, do you have any final baseball thoughts before we let you go? We kept you for a little overtime this week, and we had some mic issues, but you fought through it for us, and we appreciate it.
No, just one thing on the pathetic NFC South. The 4 teams should be thankful they're playing in the NFC South. Over the last 4 years, when playing opponents outside of their division, the NFC South has a win rate of .375. That mark is the worst in football. Only one other division in football is below 500, and that's the AFC South at .403 winning percentage. So that's why we skipped Carolina.
That's exactly why we skipped Carolina, and you did a great circle back right there at the end. You gotta love it here on the Morgan podcast. Our football handicapper, Josh Williams, he'll be back with us next week as we continue our journey at sea, trying to ultimately get to the Catalina wine mixer on top of the yacht, rolling in to pleasant waters and a possible Super Bowl championship. That will be in the weeks ahead as we preview NFL. But what we're going to do right now is talk about a rather large event that happened in the sports entertainment world. Not just any sports entertainment, the only wrestling company that matters. You hear me, Crippler and Dax? WWE SummerSlam. Yeah, we know what Jimmy is next.
I really love the fact that you are on a quest to destroy Dax and his AEW love. Listen, we all love AEW here. Okay, maybe I like it and you two don't care. But this is a Yeah, We Know segment of the Morgan podcast. Is wrestling fake? Yeah, we know. Are we doing this from our basements? Yeah, we know. But you know what? We like to have fun. And I will say, you can say whatever you want about the wrestling on it. Night 2 of SummerSlam put so many smiles on my face. It was such a fun night. Was it perfect? No. But I will tell you, again, Kevin Owens came back from injury. He has been gone for like 14 months. Never thought he was going to work again. Talked to Big E about some things, and all of a sudden, a few weeks ago, he gets the clearance. And I will tell you, when they played Gunther's music, all of us were like, that's crap. This is ridiculous. Sami Zayn earned this shot. Finn Balor earned this shot. This is dumb. When they played Kevin Owens, we was like, oh, it's Kevin Owens. That's great. I love it. I was fine with it, Rod.
Oh, man. I had, like you, convinced myself that we would never hear the non-dulcet tones of the Kevin Owens screeching guitar solo at the top of the ramp ever again. But when it hit, I popped, right? I talk about it so often on this podcast that the reason we love wrestling is still to pop like when we were kids, right? That's still what we love about it. Ultimately, that's what we want. The only reason that we come on here, and us three, we know that we tend to get a little negative at times. We try not to, but that's because we love it. We want it to be great. We want to pop. We want to enjoy it. We want to feel that. The reason The Rock does this on his arm when he comes out is the goosebumps. That's what wrestling is all about. And KO hitting the ramp and him stopping to look around a little bit, which echoes to what you hear Triple H say to people all the time. Like, hey, stop and soak this in, right? Like, yeah, you're here to put on a show, but 35,000 people, whatever it was at that stadium, are all screaming your name, going crazy. Yeah, it's debatable. I know, Jim, but are all going crazy, yelling your name. People are crying because you're back to perform for them. Take that in. I know I enjoyed the hell out of it. Congratulations, KO. You're so right that we're like, man, this is garbage. He didn't earn it, but because it's KO, we're fine with it.
Yep, exactly, Chris. Chris is going to
kind of okay with it. Like, right? Okay. You're lucky, Kevin Owens, that I do like you a little bit. All right. But I do get tired of people coming back and all of a sudden they get the fucking shot. Oh, my word. Sorry.
Whoa.
Right? But they do. Like, how many times do we see this? Right? Someone comes back after hiatus and injury when it's not a situation like it's in where there was an interim champion, right? So when Rhea comes back, of course she'll be there. But like, I get tired of it, and we see it with Phil constantly. We see it with all of them, and I want to see them work their way back up to it a little bit. All right, like when Drew comes back, as much as I want him to get that shot right away, I saw that look, Jimmy. Don't say anything.
I hope he comes back.
But like, okay. Let's say he does. I want him to earn it back again. I don't want him to just see him get another opportunity although right away.
Mark that shit. I'm sorry. Listen, Jimmy, I cursed myself, but mark that shit. All right. That Chris is saying that because I guarantee you that if Drew does come back and he gets a number one contenders match as his first match back and he wins, Chris ain't going to be like, man, I'm really kind of mad at my guy Drew for getting the shot. There's no chance he says that.
There's no shot at all. But Chris did mention interim, and we've got to talk about our girl Chelsea Green. We have been a Chelsea Green podcast from day one. I mean, we really have. And again, it's a nice moment, okay? It's an interim championship. This match scared the hell out of me, okay? Charlotte Flair was dangling from the belt at one point, and you had Lash Legend and Jade Cargill maybe underneath her. I thought she was going to break both her legs. I'm like, she's done. This is not going to end well. But Chelsea Green laying on the ladder like she did and doing the Undertaker up, not Undertaker up, the Chelsea Green up was just great. And it was a fun moment, and the crowd loved it. Chris, I thought this was one of the better moments of the year so far, actually. Good for Chelsea.
Right. We've really been waiting for this. And we've been worried, right, because she was so over in AAA. We didn't know if they were going to keep her there for a little bit. Like, and then she was a sidekick again, and you were worried more. But thank you, I guess, for creative to listening to the fans like us. because we've been aching for it. I think Chelsea, above almost anybody else, deserves it. And I hope she gets a big old "you deserve this" chant. So I love it. Right? Possibly contender for match of the year on the Yeah We Knowies, just because of who won. Just saying.
Oh, Rod.
I mean, that might be a little far. Might be a
A
little far. I love
little?
me some
That was
Chelsea.
bad.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know what it is about the women's ladder matches, Jimmy, but I'm so with you, right? I don't think it has anything to do with the fact that it's the women and I'm like more nervous for them than I am for the men. But like they just seem to do more things that like seem like on the borderline of going wrong. Like I'm just always way more on the edge of my seat for a women's ladder match for some reason. And I I continue, I guess, to worry about Lash Legend and Jade Cargill's ability to watch out for their opponents. That's another reason why I think I was a little bit worried about this match. But I want to shout out the storytelling here, Jim. I mentioned that we get a little too critical at times. We haven't broke bad on SummerSlam yet, but bringing Chelsea back to Tiffany, right? And as Chris spoke to, making it seem like she was still playing that sidekick role had us all a little bit disappointed. Like, oh man, the best you're going to do with Chelsea is just making her act like a weird, single white female type deal to Tiffany Stratton. But then, no. They brought her in the side door and she overtook Tiffany and got the belt. It was absolutely fabulous. And Jimmy, the other thing I loved, and it's not just the way she rose up because that was just pure theater, but she didn't juggle around with the belt. When she got up there, she just ripped the thing down. It was time to just win at that point, and I appreciated that as well.
Yeah, I these ladder matches, it's not hard. But when you put a ladder up and it's 5 feet away from the belt that's hanging down, what are we doing? What are we doing? I know you're setting up for a spot, but we got to make it look at least you're trying to get to it. And Rod, I don't think it's the women, like you said, that you're worried about. I think it's the women they're putting in there that we're worried about. Because if you look at this list, Chelsea Green and Charlotte Flair, I can pretty much do any match. I really believe that. But with Tiffany and Lash and Jade, you got to be careful on some things. And are you setting them up to fail? I think would be my question there. Okay. But again, another great moment. Chelsea Green winning, Kevin Owens coming back and deserving the win for sure. Right, Chris? And then we had Chad Gable and Penta, whose match was a lot shorter than we thought it was going to be. A lot of these were commercials we got in, though. So that's good. I'm glad we got the commercials in. But Chad Gable gets the win. And Chris, they say a lot, hey, this is wrestling, it's my job. It is what it is. But Chris, at your job, if you're going through a really hard time right now with moving and everything, right? If your boss comes in and says, hey, good job, really appreciate what you've done this week, and we know it's hard. It's kind of the same thing as getting a title. It's like, hey, good job. Your storyline right now says you need this. Don't you agree with that?
Yes. Maybe the bonus after turn will be what is like getting a belt. Like I'm hoping that reflects it, right? But no, like, right, you do want to be shown appreciation and be like, hey, this is what you deserve for all your hard work. And as much as I'm still anti-Chad Gable right now, I can't take anything away from the glorious work that he has done over the past couple of years, especially.
Yeah, for sure. And Rod, I think that having Gable win that was pretty cool. I think Penta spent a little too much time in the ring afterwards, and so did the A&W guy. But other than that, I thought it was a pretty cool moment with his family and everything.
The A&W guy was so bad. So bad. Like, come on. You're going to let Chad Gable have his moment. I understand that you need to get paid, TKO. You're getting paid in so many different ways, but come on. Tell the guy to wait or make more of a mention of what it was, because it was just weird that there was a guy in a mask head standing there. Like, I thought for a second,
we were waiting for him to turn on Gable, right?
Exactly my thought as well. So, but if you want people to associate you with sports, right, which the WWE clearly does, right? TKO has a definite interest in making these things seem more like big prize fights, right? Well, the other great angle to sports is the underdog story, right? And you cannot continue to feed wrestling fans underdog stories if you don't occasionally let the underdog win, right? So we had Sami Zayn and then they took it from us very quickly 8 days later, right? And now we have Chad Gable, the underdog story, gets all the way up to the top and wins. Be interested to see how long they let the underdog keep it this time.
I'm very interested in how long that's going to be. Another underdog who wasn't even in the company, Chris loves this, Baron Corbin, came back and defeated Trick Williams in another match that really, come on, Trick, come on, Baron, let's do a little bit better. Again, not given a lot of time. Baron Corbin is your new United States champion. I'm not a gigantic Baron Corbin fan. Good for him that he's back in. I'm really happy for him. But Chris, did you like this title change?
No. You heard me rail against KO earlier. Like, no, I didn't like this at all. I was not a Baron Corbin fan at all. I did enjoy when I watched him get punted in the face, I believe, by Pat McAfee quite a few years ago. But beyond that, like, I've never been interested in anything that he's done. I definitely did not have any thought that he was going to lose this or win this match and get the belt either, right? So this is all just kind of, I don't know. I feel like I'm in the upside down a little bit.
Okay, I think Rod's going to go off right now.
Okay. Let's start here. What is Trick Williams doing with the United States Championship? I mean, what is he doing with the United States Championship at this point? Let's just all be honest with ourselves there, okay? He's got an entrance that's $1 million. He's got a multi-platinum rapper as his valet, right? He's got a wife that they can use with a storyline. He's got Mello that they can bring back at any point. We clearly say he needs to work better matches because, Jimmy, you could say all you want about Baron Corbin, but the man is a stone cold professional, and he did his damnedest to try to carry Trick through that match. He really, really did. Couldn't quite pull it off, but that's all right. I am excited about this for Trick Williams' character because I just think that we were approaching the clouds so quickly and so high that we almost had nowhere we could go. So now we have taken the U.S. Championship belt off of him, right? We don't have to continue to talk about how who's right for a shot. You're not giving anybody a shot. This is supposed to be a working man's championship. We don't have to deal with that anymore. And Trick can go onward, right? He can fight for the Intercontinental Championship. He can take on Roman. He can take on CM Punk. He can do any of those things. This is good for Trick Williams.
I think that's a good point. I love that point, Rod, because he doesn't have that pressure anymore, and he can kind of develop the character a little bit more and just wrestle a lot of good wrestlers moving forward and just get that in ring to match the entrance and the aura that he has. Speaking of an entrance and an aura, go ahead, Chris. Go ahead. You're good. You're good.
So if Trick's not doing enough to bring up that belt, what is Baron going to do to bring the level of that belt up? Isn't there a better option out there instead of Baron Corbin?
Maybe he's the
Baron
transitional champion,
fight, right? Yeah, Baron Corbin's going to fight. That's what I see, Jim, or Chris, excuse me, is that like Corbin opens up a few other guys to get angles at stories. And then Trick, you can just move up the card, right? Like Mello here, my guy Dragunov could come back, right? Like there's any number of guys that could start getting into a thing with Baron Corbin here for the United States Championship. Maybe we could give Otis a bit of a run here, right? We're running his Maxine story. Maybe that could ultimately pay off in a U.S. Championship run for him. I just think that like, as much as I hate saying the belt has to make guys, some dudes are just not going to get TV time unless they're involved in a belt. And some guys who aren't going to normally get TV time can be involved with Baron Corbin, and they probably couldn't be involved with Trick.
Does that make sense to you, Chris?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Sorry about that, Rod. Then we had, we had Danhausen and Dominic Mysterio, and it was what it was. Nice to have Joe Hendry involved, although we can talk about what happened to him on Raw. It was a match that just kind of was there, and people got human monies, and everything was fine. Any comments on that?
I will tell you this, that the Mrs. Morgan and the Vanimal gave me explicit instructions that they wanted to see Danhausen.
Good.
They know of Danhausen. They both had said to me, I don't think I've ever actually seen Danhausen. I think I've just heard of Danhausen, and I know who Danhausen is. So I said, okay. I said, but I want to tell you both. I said, Van, Danhausen's not much bigger than you. All right. So just be ready for the fact that that's probably going to happen in this match. And then Danhausen did what Danhausen does, and Dominic Mysterio did what Dominic Mysterio does. And I'm not entirely sure who benefited from that match, but we all had a good time.
That's really funny because he's not very much bigger than Fan.
I would like to mention, I believe this was Brad Stevens, noted comic, little person comic, was also involved in this. This is his first time in a WWE match as one of the Mini-Housens.
I love him. Brad Williams, not Brad Stevens. Brad Stevens would be
Williams.
Celtics. But Brad Williams, he's gone.
Listen, Stevens ain't been trying to be a GM. You could have convinced me that he was messing around with the WWE this offseason. He wasn't being a very good GM.
He has wanted to be a Mini-Hausen for a minute, and I'm glad they let him do that. He's pretty cool. That's awesome. And then we had Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins to the end of the Shield. Finally, they mentioned Dean Ambrose like 4 times, 5 times. They had Dean Ambrose's mask at the very end. This is the end of the Shield until they come up with something later that they do it again. But very long match. I did like how the storytelling ended up and just kind of wrote Seth Rollins off, I think, unfortunately, for a little while, Rod.
Yeah, he's definitely riding off into the sunset a little bit, but that's good. You know what I mean? Like there's nothing for him to do immediately right now. So, let's let him go heal up. Let's let him rest. Let's figure out the next great place to insert Seth Rollins, because we've all seen it numerous times now, thanks to the numerous injuries that he tends to suffer. When he comes back, people get excited and he can instantly heat up a storyline. So he'll be back involved with somebody somewhere down the road, but it's good for my guy. Got a acknowledgement a little bit there from the tribal chief. It's good for the tribal chief to not hit him with the chair, to not have the bloodline come down, right? Like, Chris, as much as you like to talk your stuff about Roman Reigns, you had to sort of appreciate that match ended up going down 1-on-1. That was pretty old school.
Right. No, I loved it. Right. And I loved how they both ended up not using the chair. Right. I liked how the ref gave him extra time in the ring, but then all of a sudden decided to count fast later. Okay, ref. Right, but it was what I wanted. I was so nervous the whole time that I was going to see one of the Usos or Fatu come out or something to that effect, right? So that was great. It was a good match. I loved every second of it. There were definitely times I thought Rollins was getting the belt, right? And he didn't. So that keeps you on the hook. So that's what makes it a good match.
I never really thought Rollins had a chance to it, but they did have a pretty good storyline there. And the big match is Roman Reigns and Obafemi. No, it's not. It's Roman Reigns and L.A. Knight. Yeah, because we did get L.A. Knight coming out on Monday. And Rod, you noticed that L.A. Knight slowed it down a little bit. Think he did a pretty good job here?
Yeah, this was a big spot for our guy, right? And I've noticed that occasionally in big spots when he comes out, he's got a verbose vocabulary. He's got many different quips that he can fire out, and he clearly has all of those in his head, and he starts to get excited and he wants to get them all out, and he starts to trip over his words a little bit. And I think this time he slowed down a little bit. He had a couple of fumbles, because I think it wouldn't be LA Knight if he didn't fumble a tad bit, but he ultimately sounded really, really good. The crowd really, really bided. I think in the past, you've had LA Knight get inserted with Roman Reigns, because, Jimmy, we've seen Roman Reigns as champion and LA Knight fight him in the past. It's happened. I think it might have even happened over in Saudi Arabia. Don't quote me on the exact pay-per-view that it went down, but I don't think anybody really thought LA Knight actually deserved to be there at that time. I think everybody thought he was just kind of riding a wave of we all liked him. He was sort of new at the time. This is a little bit of a Chad Gable type run for our guy, right? Where we've all been like, man, you're pushing him to the side. You're giving him nothing to do, and he keeps fighting through and coming out on the other side. And great for LA Knight. But I also think good things are going to come for one of his tag team partners at SummerSlam, Solo Sikoa, who got a chance to shine in that match too. But I'm happy that it was LA Knight who came down to challenge Roman and not Solo.
Chris, give LA Knight everything you want to. Probably not everything, but
I mean, right? This is what I've been asking for since he got screwed out of his last championship match. So this is what I've been waiting for. This is your time, LA. Make it count. I hate the fact that the WWE is the way it is, and you guys have corrupted my mind, so I don't think he's going to win, even though I will pray every day that he does. You guys have ruined this fan over here. Not really, but right, this is what we wanted, and he toe to toe with the guy, right? Because Roman came out swinging, right? Roman didn't go soft. LA came right back at him though, didn't back down. Loved every minute of it, and there's been some iconic moments between these two guys already. Remember the reflection of Roman and LA Shades the first time around during the contract signing? Like, some of that is just gold for the WWE. I can't wait.
Well, do you think Big Cass is going to be gold? Because he's back as well. Looks like $1 million. I think you're going to run into the same problems you have in the past, though. He's okay in the ring. He's not the best on the mic. So maybe he's somebody we need to give somebody to be a manager of some sort, Rod. But I wish him the best. He's gone through a lot.
Yeah, he definitely has. I did a little bit of light Googling and light Reddit searching around, and Reddit's never a place you want to be for very long. But was able to dive into some of Big Cass and some of the breakdowns he's had. So glad that he's got himself together and he's back to the WWE. Ultimately, I dig a success story that way. You're not wrong. He looked like $3 to $5 million damn dollars. I mean, he was cut like a brick house up there. He ripped off that shirt. He stood in the ring. He looked imposing. That's all there. But Jimmy, I'm not sure how familiar Chris is with this gentleman's work, but I got Test vibes, and I'm not necessarily sure that that's a great thing.
Yeah, they do kind of have that same look, don't they? Chris, do you care at all about Big Cass?
I don't know anything about him yet. All right.
Yeah,
I'll give him a fair shake.
Okay. I know a couple people you do know about, Stephanie Vicker and Becky Lynch. They're both going to go after Liv Morgan. I thought that was a pretty cool segment. I really like Becky being good Becky and going after the title. I think Stephanie and Becky will probably fight, and then the winner will get Liv, and then whoever doesn't win will then chase. So I think we've got some build up there in the women's division, which I really like. Stephanie Vicker coming back is big.
Stephanie Vicker is a heck of a wrestler, so anytime you're going to insert her into the picture, we're going to get some matches that are going to be entertaining to watch. And I think you need to let the crowd be your guide here, okay? And I understand that Becky Lynch is supremely talented, and we needed her to be the heel that she was for a little while, but the crowd let you know last night that she does not need to be that any longer. She needs to continue coming down to the ring as the man. She needs to continue the man has come around. She needs to be in the cutoff T-shirts. She needs to just be about kicking ass, all right? She needs to be a hell of a lot less about sounding like a Karen, and she needs to be a hell of a lot more about the ass-kicking Irish lass. Let's go. I loved it.
And then Obafemi comes out, and I was gonna make a joke because I really didn't know, but he was wearing an agbada, which is a ceremonial West African attire worn by the Yoruba people, and I apologize if I don't get those right. Signifies high status, wealth, power, and royalty, matching his ruler persona. So that's why he wore that. Hopefully, it's just kind of a one-night thing, because that really threw me off there. He didn't mention anything really except for the Brock Lesnar stuff, so we'll see what happens next week. But they have strapped the rocket to him, Rod. He's him.
I think the reason that nobody came out to that ring, and I was on the edge of my seat to see who was going to come out, because we've been trained that that's basically Obafemi's next storyline would present itself in a situation like that. So the fact that it didn't happen led me to believe, I don't think they know, right? I don't think they know. I think they know whoever gets served up to him is not going to win. And I think they haven't fully decided who they want to pin that to right now, because they also want somebody that makes Oba seem like a victory that matters, right? Like, as much as I love Otis, we can't just serve Otis up to Obafemi, because that's not going to matter. So we got to try to figure out who we can put a notch in Oba's resume, but is not going to necessarily hurt whoever's upward momentum. And that isn't incredibly clear right now to me.
Yeah. Chris?
I mean, they announced him as King of the Ring, dressed as a ruler. Here's something we don't know, haven't heard about in I don't know how many months, but isn't there supposed to be some sort of John Cena attorney coming up? we're
I
not
think
ready
at the
for
end of the year. Yeah, end of the year. Yeah.
if we're not ready for him to hold on to one of the big belts for a minute, send him up that tournament and make him dominate that real quick, right? We know that's a hastily put together thing anyway. Give him something else to win and dominate, and then he can move on to the next big thing, which is WrestleMania next year.
Or do they forego the Royal Rumble win for him like we're all thinking, and in October he just wins Money in the Bank and then just decrees or whatever the word is. I'm going to challenge Night 2 WrestleMania, the world champion. Maybe they do that.
I like that, Jim, because like if you give Obafemi the belt, he can't cash it in, unfortunately, because of the trash talk that Roman Reigns just did to Seth Rollins, right? Like we basically just pissed all over the Money in the Bank briefcase, which is something that I guess Triple H kind of wants to do. If you're to believe some of these stories in the background, he's not a huge fan of the Money in the Bank briefcase, and so he continues to make it seem not very important. He already moved it on the calendar. We're now introducing wrestlers talking about how it's a joke and a gimmick. So, I like it, Chris, because, we need to give Obafemi any and all honors that maybe don't put the belt on him right away, because once they put the belt on him, what are we doing? I don't think we can cook Omos up that fast, but, it'll be interesting. I think you don't want to put him in the War Games either, Jimmy. So it really will be like, what are we going to do with Obafemi for the rest of the year?
Well, also, he did shake Paul Heyman's hand. Braun Breaker is pretty smart, and Braun Breaker basically said, "Oh, so you're going to go with him now?" I mean, if you want Obafemi, the ruler, do you want him to be a good guy or a bad guy? Because once he's the good guy, who's going to go against him that you're going to believe is going to beat him? So that could be something that Triple H is doing for down the road, which I don't mind. I thought the Breaker and Obafemi, I think we're going to go in that direction over the next few weeks. He was angry and destroyed our boy Joe Hendry, which I told you, and I'm not happy about it. But anyway, I don't know. I think that might be a way to go.
I got to take a sidebar on Joe Henry here real quick, Chris, because I know that you don't have too many Joe Henry thoughts, but Jimmy, I'm on like red alert. I am on red alert, actually, after the way the song went down, the backlash to the song, and then now his next appearance is just getting absolutely worn out, and like we're not giving him the microphone. Like,
did he not get an entrance, or am I? He didn't get an entrance.
No, I'm a
That's
little
his
worried.
Whole thing.
Yeah, I'm a little worried about where we're at with Joe Henry right now, because I think we thought we had something, and I think we did the Danhausen and Joe Henry song, and it's kind of like, Jimmy, you said it, man, jumping the shark, right? I think the Happy Days folks thought they had something when Fonzie was jumping over the shark, but then it became referred to as one of the worst things ever in television history. And so I think WWE thought they had something, but I think it's going to be a watershed moment because it seems to have just submarined our guy, Jimmy.
Okay, so for all of our tens and tens of listeners, go to shop WWE and buy Joe Henry merch. Please go buy that. Chris, thoughts on that?
I can't wait for Logan Paul to come back so we get the real good stuff and we get back to Joe Henry versus Logan Paul and he can get some W's under Joe Henry's belt, because right now I think he's just going to be fodder until then.
Oh, it's so cute that you think there's a chance that Joe Henry's going to ever beat Logan Paul. But anyway, I do want to go to you, Chris, on this one. Royce Keys and Jacob Fatu in the main event, and then we'll get out of here. Street fight. What were your thoughts on that matchup?
I enjoy street fights, okay? Or, I mean, I'm going to take this back, right? Because sometimes I get tired of all the different names they have for it when it just means no disqualifications, okay? That's just, right? All it was like, hey, listen, you have to pin him in the ring, anything else goes. I mean, that's all you need to do. But listen, I'm going to watch those guys wrestle whenever. I love Fatu. Even though he's part of the bloodline, I will watch every single match he's in.
I really liked it. I thought it was something a little bit different at the main event level with Royce Keys especially. I thought they both did well. Yes, he got beat down at the end, but you kind of needed to do that for the storyline. I was fine with it, Rod.
Give me some big old boys pounding on each other, right? I mean, like we need it, we just do. I love Javon Evans. Everybody wants to get bouncy. You know what I mean? Like we have so many guys that are doing so many things like that, and that is all great, grand, and wonderful. But every once in a while, you just want to see some big dudes absolutely wanting to pound the crap out of each other. And that's what you get every time Jacob Fatu steps in the ring with somebody. And that certainly seems to be the character that Royce Keys is developing. Now, am I a little bit like, okay, Royce, you're carrying a huge chip on your shoulder and you're about defending respect. Okay, cool. I could use a little bit of variation off of that, but you at least seem like an ass kicker, so I'm on board. But like, let's drop the, oh, you disrespected me. Like that's kind of Royce Keys' gig right now, and I could use a little bit more than that.
Agreed. I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt for a little bit. I think that at least they're using him, which is great, and I appreciate that. So, hey, it's been a fun couple of days here in the WWE, and we are excited to see what's coming next. Now, there's going to be a while before the next big thing. There's weeks and weeks before the next big event, so we'll see what happens storyline-wise there. It seems that there's going to be a tournament to face Roman Reigns at one of the I think AAA events coming up. I think it's it's a Mexico City AAA event. So there's going to be WWE, NXT, and AAA wrestlers going into a number one contenders match to face Roman Reigns at that event. So I think that'll be interesting to see. It'll also be interesting to see how the AAA crowd, the Mexican crowd, responds to Roman Reigns. Usually, Rod, it's huge when a WWE superstar goes anywhere other than WWE.
Yeah, we do comment often that we get jealous as American crowds here, that we all get a little we've seen it before, but the foreign crowds, when the live events show up, they really bring it. And Jimmy, speaking of interesting, a little short that I believe we're gonna have available for folks. I'm not sure it's gonna be attached to this episode, but I think we'll have it available as a little short for the people. We spoke about how we're older guys sitting in our basements yelling about wrestling, but we all started as a child loving wrestling, and we actually have a child's perspective on current wrestling thanks to our good friend Dax Storm. He brought on his daughter Ada, and she gave her unfiltered heel-like thoughts, if I must be honest, Jimmy, on the WWE world. All right, we are back. We have a very special segment here for wrestling fans out there, something we have teased a little bit here on the show. Me and Jimmy and Chris, we tend to argue about wrestling. We tend to look at it from a middle-aged man standpoint, and frankly, we break too bad on the business sometimes. It's important that we remember why we all started. So in that spirit, I turned to a good friend of the podcast. We talked to him about the NBA. We talked to him about wrestling an awful lot, and his daughter, Ada, is becoming a huge wrestling fan. So Dax Storm is here. Dax, hello.
Hello. Thanks for having us, buddy.
And then Ada Storm is here. Ada, say hello to everybody. These are two wrestling fans who have tickets to see SmackDown live in Indianapolis very, very shortly. Ada, how excited are you to go to your first live wrestling event?
Excited. And I hope Rhea Ripley is there.
You hope Rhea Ripley is there, man. With real life injuries right now, I hope you are right too. So, is Rhea Ripley your favorite wrestler, or would you tell everybody out there that somebody else is your favorite wrestler?
Rhea Ripley is my favorite wrestler.
Rhea Ripley is your favorite wrestler. Let me ask you another question. Who's your dad's favorite wrestler?
Charlotte Flair.
Charlotte Flair is your dad's favorite wrestler. Daxter, would you agree with your daughter's assessment? Is Charlotte Flair your favorite wrestler?
I'll tell you what, yeah, she's probably my favorite wrestler, the current roster. You know, the daughter of the legend himself, for sure.
Nice, Daxter. You're going to SmackDown. How excited are you to take Ada to her first wrestling event?
I'm very, very excited. The first wrestling event I ever went to was WrestleMania 8. Back in 1992, my dad took me to that, and I will always remember that. It had a crazy, crazy card of a bunch of Hall of Famers on it. And so Ada gets to go see where she wanted to sit really close to the entrance aisle so she can, the high five and put the sign up. So you may be seeing Ada on the September 25th SmackDown. She's ready. That's why she wants Rhea to show up so she can really show her fandom. She's even wearing the Rhea Ripley shirt on right now. She's ready to go.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll tell you what, we are going to be leading into Money in the Bank happening in October. That's, a rather large pay-per-view for them. They're trying to give back to the city of New Orleans, who they ripped WrestleMania away from, and sent it back to Las Vegas for the second year in a row. I'm excited for you guys. We're looking forward to your report from that show. But Ada, I want to ask you another question. Are you looking forward to going to that show to cheer, or are you more looking forward to going to that show to boo somebody?
Kind of want to boo someone.
There we go. I like that. So your favorite part of wrestling is possibly the hatred you get for the bad guys, huh?
I trash talk a lot.
Okay. I like to hear that. Who's one of your favorite people to trash talk then? Who do you want to boo the most? Who do you want to make sure knows that Ada Storm does not like them when you go see SmackDown?
I hate Liv Morgan.
Okay. Liv. So you don't think she's the greatest women's champion of all time? You don't think that, huh?
Like she isn't the greatest. She's the worst WWE champion of all.
Nice. Ada, I would tend to agree with you on that one. I'm excited. Dax, do you think that she'll be able to follow through with this full-throated boos when she gets there? Do you think she's going to be wrapped up in too much of it to be able to start hollering out all these boos?
I would like to think so. She's pretty good about keeping her promises. So I got a feeling that yeah, there's more than just Liv who's going to get an earful of Ada's boos, and she's got some pipes on her, so she'll let them know.
Nice. That is excellent. Listen, I want a video from you, right? One time when she doesn't realize that you're getting her from behind and she's just full-throated giving it to somebody. We got to see that video. That one will be exciting. So, Ada, you said a sign. Are you going to try to bring a sign in there too? Are you somebody that wants to use your artistic features, which I know you have, to make a sign?
Yeah, I was thinking of a sign, and it says meet the bloodline, and me and Daddy have made silly names for people in the bloodline, and it's Roman Reigns is Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins is Chef Rollins. He's not in the bloodline, but I just want to put that name out there.
I like that.
The Osos, but we're still working on a name for them, because it's Roman Reigns, Chef Rollins. It's kind of a bunch of food stuff. So we're trying to a more of a food name for the Usos. And for Jacob Fought 2, we thought of Jacob Tofu.
Ooh, okay. I like that. Listen, I find tofu very gross at times. I am off put by the craziness of the American Werewolf. I think you might be onto something there, Ada. You did tell everybody you were good at trash talk. You're already proving yourself worthy of what you say. A true baby face. So that's my next question for you, Ada. You said you like booing. All right. You said you like Rhea Ripley. If you were a wrestler, would you have more fun being a baby face or a heel?
I kind of like baby faces more, but I don't really know if I want to be a heel or a baby face. I mean, it might be fun being a heel, but I think I want to be a baby face.
All right, you'd rather be a baby face. So then is Rhea Ripley your only baby face, or who are some of the other baby faces that you like pulling for that are on your television screen?
Oba Femi.
Okay.
Penta.
Okay. So were you sad to see Penta lose the belt to Chad Gable? Did that make you sad?
Yeah.
All right.
At least Chad Gable wasn't just
Listen, listen, for me, that was a great moment, right? I've seen Chad Gable for a long time. When he said that thing about Shorty G, I've been watching wrestling long enough to know what he meant by that, right? So I was excited to see Chad Gable finally win his championship. When everybody went crazy at SummerSlam, Ada and Kevin Owens showed up at the top of the ramp. Did you know who Kevin Owens was? Did your dad help you there? I'm interested to know your thoughts when Kevin Owens reappeared.
I might have known Kevin Owens, but I've only known wrestling for a year. So, I know, but I like him. So.
All right, Daxter, what was your thoughts when KO appeared at the top of the ramp? All of us big wrestling fans were pumped for that one.
Oh, yeah. I know, in our old chat group, we were kind of talking about that, and somebody got KO on there, and yeah, I kind of threw everybody for a loop, and oh, here comes Gunther, but also here comes, and they started playing his music. I was like, holy moly! I think I know I popped for that one. I think a lot of people did. That was pretty cool. And then the Viper showing his fangs again in the ring against Cody, interfering with that match was kind of fun to see.
I think what's good for you guys is both of those people usually appear on SmackDown, right? And so if they're showing up now to be getting involved in storylines, you guys may get a good chance to see Kevin Owens. You guys may get a good chance to see the Viper. I mean, these are two guys who are probably going to hang it up at some point here in the next couple of years, so that's exciting. Ada, you said it yourself. You've only been around for wrestling about a year and a half. Do you remember what first it was about wrestling that made you want to start watching it? Was it this weird guy that used to come over to your parents' house all the time and talk about wrestling? Did that have anything to do with you in wrestling? This guy that named Rod who used to come over and talk about it all the time?
I don't think I remember, but I think I was just like kind of bored, so I went in his personal living room and I was just like, sometimes I just sit on the couch and just watch stuff, even though it's kind of sometimes boring. And I was like, people are throwing people around. That looks cool.
Oh, so it was the physicality, huh? See, for me, like, I think I remember originally being drawn to the costumes, right? People wearing feathers and people wearing capes and explosions going off everywhere. But for you, it was the physicality, huh? All right, Daxter, when she sits there and she tells you that she likes the physicality of wrestling, does that worry you any? Does that worry you any as a father?
Not at all. She's very heavily involved in karate. I've seen her spar. I've seen her work people out of the ring. So yeah, physicality is her middle name for sure.
Nice. Okay, well that's good then. I like that. She likes the physicality. So then, all right, Ada, you like the moves. Can you tell me your favorite wrestling move? Could you tell me like a move that somebody does that's your favorite move?
I don't really know. I know barely any.
You always like power bombs.
I think they're kind of boring.
Power bomb? No, I love power bomb. No.
I don't really know any.
Like the chops? Woo!
So then, but you gotta like Rhea Ripley's finishing move at least, right? She kind of does a version of a power bomb, doesn't she?
I actually don't think I've ever seen Rhea Ripley's move.
We'll have to watch it again. It's been a memory.
That's true. So that was the last thing I was going to ask you here, Ada, as we get closer to wrapping up. Wrestling comes on kind of late at night. So do you usually have to pester your dad to let you watch it the next day? Do you not necessarily watch it all the time? Do you just kind of check in on highlights? Like, how much are we watching week to week?
So, like, on Mondays, Fridays, and now Sundays and Saturdays, when they say it's 10 o'clock, it's past your bedtime, I'm like, please just wait until it's over, please.
So you just beg and plead.
Yep, since it's summertime, she goes back to school. She goes back to school next week. So this past Monday was the last one she got to stay up to watch. But next week, we're gonna start watching, the remainder on Tuesdays, unfortunately, because it gets past my bedtime too. So,
well, hey, listen, Ada, that's okay. Listen, with the wrestling fans out there understand in the new streaming world we live in, there's no spoilers. Ask your dad about the group chat we're in. We all know we can't spoil stuff in there too, so it's okay. Nobody will spoil it for you. You'll be able to catch up. Watch the WWE in your own time. Ada, I think it's fabulous that you are coming to join the world of wrestling. I hope that you stick around and be a wrestling fan for a lot longer. Is there anything that you would like to say to all the wrestling fans out there before we wrap up the interview tonight?
If you like Liv Morgan, you're my enemy.
All right, let's go. Heat out the door. Daxter, she cuts a promo on everybody out the door. You got to be proud.
That's my girl. Trying to right.
Absolutely wonderful. Daxter, thank you so much for corralling Ada and for doing this for us. We appreciate it. We would love to have you guys back after you make it to SmackDown. Take all the pictures, take all the videos. We'll have you guys back on. We appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thank you, son. We'll talk to you soon.
Goodbye.
We got a mini housing attack. Good night, Ada. Thank you.
Good night.
And with that, you've been listening to the More You Know podcast. Chris, take us home.
Like, comment, subscribe. Goodbye, Internet. And more props to Solo Sikoa. All right? Give him more screen time.
Yep. Let's go. And if you're into rock music, check out Jimmy and I's work associated with Classic Rock 97.7 over on their podcast feed. Yacht Rock, available for you right now.
I didn't know what Yacht Rock was before that I listened to the podcast. Don't know if I know what it is now either, but it was a really good podcast.
We tried it.